Hey everybody, I'm Pierce with Great Plains, and we're here with the 7329DH, which is a 29-foot disc produced by Great Plains, and we're here with Empire Tractor in Waterloo, New York. Great Plains has been in the disc market for quite a few years now, and we continue to expand our selection and our offerings. Traditionally, we've had from 23 on up through 36-foot wide tools, and then recently we just came out with a 10, 12, and a 15-foot disc as well for the smaller producer, fruit and vegetable type grower in mind. All of these discs are super heavy built. We'll go up against anyone in the industry, and there's quite a bit of adjustment as well. Some of the nicer features that we have is hydraulic fore and aft leveling, like you see here. We have single point depth control for all of our machines. And then we have gauge wheels on the end of each wing to help control the depth, especially when you get into some undulating ground. And one of the really nice features of this is that the gauge wheels are actually tied into our lift system, so that as we change to the depth of the tools, it's actually going to adjust the depth of the gauge wheels as well to make sure we get a consistent depth across the entire machine. And it really simplifies the adjustment going through the field and into different conditions. Some of the different options we have for blades are going to be 22, 24, or 26-inch blades. And then we also have blade spacing of 7-inch, 7.5-inch, or 9-inch as well. The tool is completely maintenance-free. There's no grease zerks on it at all. We have sealed gang bearings here. We also have one of the heaviest cast gang bars in the industry today. That allows us to put all of our weight right here on the blades into the ground, as opposed to the frame and then through these C-shanks. We want to put as much weight as we can right here on the bearings and right on the blades. Going to that, we do have C-shank springs for the gang bars themselves, and then we have the main frame. One of the other really nice thing about Great Plains is that we know that whenever you weld on a frame, especially on a flatter piece of stock, it creates a weak point as the heating and the cooling of that metal affects the hardness of it. So what we do is we actually saddle our gang bar frame here. We saddle it and then we weld it horizontally along the side and then bolt that to the main frame. That allows us to reduce any type of weak points that you get from welding on these frames at all. So it's a really solid unit. Like I said, we have a ton of new models we just hit the field with, 10, 12, and 15 foot, as well as the larger models, 23 on up to 36 foot. So it's a great tool. We invite you to come check out the Empire dealer closest to you and take a look at what we have on the lot, and we'll see you then. All right, there's a few more things we really want to make sure we highlight with this tool that sets it apart from the rest. Really good, important feature that we have is all of our fold cylinders on these discs. We use 4 fold cylinders, 2 for each wing. That really helps rigid this tool up so you don't get any flex or any frame failures. We also have scrapers that are spring-loaded and adjustable that we'll talk on, as well as some different rear attachments. But one thing I want to show you guys now is how our gang bar works. We have a completely sealed, it's maintenance-free bearing that we work with. It's made specifically for Great Plains by Pure Manufacturing Company. Completely sealed bearing, and one of the really unique features here is that it's a 360-degree bearing, so it can pivot up, down, not only forward and back, but it can actually swivel like a ball bearing. A lot of the other competition out there just has a rotating bearing that really doesn't have that 360 degrees of movement. So as you do get into rough ground and these bars will flex a little bit, it really helps take the stress off of the bearings themselves, which historically would be one of the earlier places we see some failures. Below these caps here, we have cast iron caps. You take these out and that's where you get to the bar nut, so you can disassemble these gangs and replace blades when the time comes. But yeah, a really good heavy-duty unit. You can see how big our cast spools are. They're cupped a little bit. That helps with residue flow versus just a straight, smooth spacer there. So everything's cast steel. Everything is really heavy built. And now what we're going to do is take a look at some of the spring-loaded scrapers. All right. This is a really unique scraper designed to Great Plains. We've got quite a bit of adjustment here. You'll see for each scraper we've got 2 bolts. One of them's a pivot bolt and the other one's a lock bolt. And what this allows us to do is adjust this scraper in and out and then we can lock it. So in some conditions, we can actually take these scrapers all the way out and just let the blade kind of to spin free. We can loosen the bolt up and then bring the scraper up right up against the blade to keep these things cleaned out and lock it there in place. Or what's also really common and unique to Great Plains is you'll see that we have this spring here that ties the two scrapers together. We can actually loosen the lock bolt and keep the pivot bolt kind of snug, but what that does is actually spring loads these scrapers up against the blades. That way as the blade wears, as you get into different conditions, it keeps things nice and clean. So really great feature that we have on these tools. Super easy to adjust, just one bolt you loosen and tighten to set that scraper, or just leave them on the spring setting and let those scrapers do their thing. All right, one of the last things that we want to take a look at with this heavy duty disc is the last pass that this tool makes is the finishing attachments. We have 4 different options. The first being the most basic is just a mounting bar or a pull type hitch, so you can use any type of finishing attachment of your choice, or you can do an integrated finishing attachment. What you see here is a 3-bar heavy duty spike. We also have a heavy duty coil tine attachment. And then for the really nice finish discs, when you're not going as deep but you're really wanting to make sure you have a smooth, consistent finish, we also have a seed bed conditioner, a rolling basket that can mount here as well. So 3 really good options if you want to have a finishing attachment mounted right on the tool, or if you just want to have a rear mounting bar and a rear hitch to pull a seed bed conditioner or whatnot, you can pull that right behind this tool as well.
Empire Tractor.